Friday morning, about 10:45. It's a beautiful day, maybe in the mid-50s today. This is the old Uwharrie hunt camp. And I'm going to be turning down Moccasin Creek Road here and headed back into the woods. It's just a gorgeous day today. I've never actually camped here, but I heard it's pretty busy during the hunting season, or the main part of the hunting season. Check back in a little bit. Well, I'm down here on Moccasin Creek. There's not a lot of water flow, so might not do much sluicing, but I can certainly do some panning. I got a nice flat spot picked out here to set up camp for a few days. If I don't do any good, I may pack up and head back out to another place. And I may just dig up some of the dams up along the creek to try to get the water flowing a little bit more, and maybe be able to set up a sluice. But it's so peaceful and so quiet back here. It's just beautiful. Check in again later. I just got lucky enough. About 20 or 30 feet from where I was, I found a big fire ring. So I did a little panning, found a little gold. Thought I'd get fire going, get camp set up, and get things situated. And I'll check back in a little bit. Well, there we go. Home away from home for 4 or 5 days. Got my pack hung up by the tree. Expecting some rain tomorrow. Nice Sunday. A little bit of rain Monday and Tuesday. You can see the food bags hanging from the tree up there. Try to keep the bears or critters or coyotes or something away from it. And a backpack strung up from the tree to keep it up off the ground. Before I go to bed, I'll put my rain cover over it so that everything in it stays dry. A small self-inflating pad to lay on. And then I've taken my stuff sack, you can see it in the back there, and packed all my extra clothing in it, and I use that for a pillow. So there's a little vestibule here to keep an extra pair of shoes or whatever dry in. It's a beautiful place. It's so quiet out here, so still and so quiet. Real steep bank on the other side. Next is to purify some water. I'll get some water out of the stream and run it through my MSR. And start a fire. And maybe cook some dinner. Very quiet. That's an MSR gravity feed water filter. They say it'll do about 1,100 liters before you have to change the filter. And comes out of the creek down below and through the filter, and it's cleaner than the water that you get out of your tap at the house. So I will have plenty. It's a 4 liter, so I've got some other water containers that I'm going to fill up as well, but I'll be all set. Time to start a fire. Got my little tinder bundle here. Scraped off that magnesium stick. Usually takes a spark pretty good, and I've got my trusty dryer lint. There we go. That's why my brother calls me dryer lint. Walked up the bluff on the other side. Just get a little picture down at camp. We'll gather up some more firewood and cook up some dinner. Pretty steep right here. This is my kitchen. Small pot, a lid, have some coffee creamer, a little bit of dish soap, a couple of spoons, salt and pepper, a couple of matches just in case, a little handle for the pot. And this is my camp stove. This stove was my father's. It's called a Svei. It's probably 30 plus years old, and it still works like a charm. What's for dinner? Fettuccine Alfredo with chicken. Sounds pretty good to me. But right now, I'm going to heat up a cup of coffee. Very slick. 30, 35 years old, and it works just like a top. Been on there for about a minute. It's already starting to steam and starting to see little bubbles. Got my little mountaineering cup. Weighs nothing, insulated. I'm gonna have a nice hot cup of coffee. Sun just went down behind the mountain off to the west of me. It's going to get dark here pretty quick. I'll have a cup of coffee, make some dinner, maybe gather up a little bit more firewood, and then just relax and enjoy the fire for the evening. It's not raining bad in the morning. When I get up, I'm going to go do some deer hunting for a few hours. Found a real nice spot off to the north and east of me that looks real nice. Have a nice view down into the creek. I'm going to enjoy my cup of coffee. I will check in again in a little bit. Well, basically this is it. It's a Ziploc baggie. It's a heavy foil. You pour 2 cups of boiling water into it. Stir it real well, close it up, and let it sit for 13 minutes. Chicken fettuccine Alfredo. How about that? Got my pot boiling on the Svei stove. And a beautiful fire. The coyotes were just really making a racket a minute ago. They're back up to the north of me a little ways. Fire is nice and warm. It is dark, dark, dark here. I'll tell you what. So quiet and still. I don't know if you turn your volume up, you might be able to hear the coyotes. I'm hearing them off in the distance almost all the way around me now. It's almost like they're talking back and forth to each other. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Well, time to close up for the night. There's not a lot of room, but just enough room to put stuff that I really need to keep dry in. And a very nice little LED that Mr. Kerry Washburn gave me. Thank you, sir. It's very light. It's perfect for reading. And I just so happened to bring a book by Mr. Uwharrie. The Pen Is. Put it together. What a perfect time and place to sit and read his book. So I'm going to lay back and read for a little while and go to sleep for the night. It's nice and warm. I have dry sweats, dry clean every night before you crash. Keeps you warm. It'll be a good night. Well, it started raining pretty heavy. I hunted for a little bit this morning. Slept very well last night. Read for a while, and then I just laid down, turned the lights off, and listened to the coyotes. They just howled and howled. It was awesome. I brought my Hennessy hammock rainfly because I knew we were expecting a bunch of rain, and I thought maybe that would give me just a little bit of shelter to sit outside with. Anyway, I've got a fire started again. Walked around and scored 3 or 4 birds' nests that I stuffed in a sack that I'll keep dry and use for dry tinder to start a fire with tomorrow, if need be, if it rains a whole lot and everything gets real wet. But right now I'm going to set up the sveigh, make a cup of coffee, and cook some breakfast. Heard a couple of gunshots way off in the distance. It's the last week and a half of deer season here, so it has to be expected. But now I'll have a dry place to to hang out if it's going to rain all day long. We'll see what happens. I've got one of my dad's favorite breakfasts, huevos rancheros. I believe that means prime rib, doesn't it? Anyway, I got a nice cup of coffee. It is raining a good bit, but I don't have a problem with that. If I could get an inch or two of rain, it'd bring the creek up a little bit so that I could run my sluice box. There's not quite enough water in it. So, no problem with the rain. If nothing else, I'll just put on my rain gear and take a march off into the woods and sit down under a tree somewhere and hope a nice deer comes walking by. Anyway, gonna eat some breakfast. Kind of a dark day. But hopefully we'll get a little bit of rain and the creek will come up. And I'll have enough water pressure to run my sluice. I'm glad I brought the rain fly. It's nice. I can be outside, move around a little bit. I got it up high enough that I can stand up underneath it. So I'm not cramped in the tent all day long. So that's a good thing. Definitely worth the little wait that it was to pack it and bring it in. I'm going to enjoy some breakfast. I really kind of think it's beans and eggs, but, you know, prime rib sounded pretty good. Well, I just started, stopped raining. And I just did this, my first test pan. I don't know if you can see it or not, if it will focus. There we go. Got 4 or 5 colors in the pan. That's 2 shovels. So I'm going to dig for a while. Find some more. Might be kind of hard to make out. But you can see where the bedrock is cracked and there's big grooves in between them that act just like a sluice box and trap gold on the back side of them. When the water passes over the top of them, it creates a little eddy. It circles around and around and gets hung up on the back side, and I just dug them out. I just happened to find this. It's a place I'll come check whenever I'm up in this area. And I found some pretty good gold in them. But you can see there's not much moving water. Normally this is ripping pretty good and you can't cross it in lots of places. But whenever there's been a flooding rain, and I'm up in this area, I will certainly hike back in here and clean these out again. Although I'm sure I'm not the only one that knows they're there. But made for some fun, found some good gold in there. This is where I've been deer hunting from. Oddly enough, the only place here I have service is up on top of this bluff. Or on this side of it, I should say. My camp is straight that way, a quarter mile, I guess. And I've got a 80-plus yard view for 180 degrees. You can see the river right there, and you can follow it. And it makes a sharp turn to the north, bends back around, and comes back to the south. You can see really good from up here. On this side of it anyway. You can see there's quartz all over on the sides of these hills. You just look for the white rocks. It's the mineralized quartz that the gold runs in. And I've met some people out here that have shown me some pictures on their cell phone of pieces that they picked up and just looked at and had beautiful gold in them. Very pretty. By far worth more in the quartz. In fact, that's why they quit mining it here. It costs too much to get the gold out of the quartz. But comes up out of the hills and he roads down into the creeks and then sometimes winds up in your pan. It's placer gold, which means it's moving. and slowly eroding by the elements. It's not a lot of running water, but I did find some here in a little hole, and this is where I've been filling up my water purifying bladder. And camp is right there. But this bladder works very well. Surprisingly fast. It's gravity fed, just drains out. You can see it has a quick release hose that connects to it. Nice strap. You just strap it around the tree. It's got a buckle it and tighten it. There's the filter itself, and you can actually back flush it to clean it out if you're filtering some really dirty water. This isn't, but it comes out crystal clear. And then this is a little cutoff that you can squeeze and cut the water off. And at the end of the hose, it has this black fitting here, and on the underside of it has threads for just about any kind of water bottle you could ever imagine. And then this red cap goes on this piece when it's not in use to keep it clean and free of debris and stuff. Just keep your water clean. I just turned this on. This bottle's almost filled. Probably took a minute and a half. Very slick. And the water tastes delicious. Getting a fire started again. You can see my sluice over there that I have not been able to use yet. But maybe I'll take a hike tomorrow and see if any of the other creeks have any more water in them. But I'm going to take down the food bags and see what's for dinner tonight. Found a little bit of gold today. Did a little hunting today. Had some good exercise. It was a great day. That tarp worked out very well today. Kept my stuff that I wanted to really leave outside dry. I've got a waterproof cover for my pack, so I don't have to be concerned with that. But kept the ground dry, not muddy, and it was just good. Didn't really rain that much, to tell you the truth. Time for dinner. Well, tonight for dinner we're having pad thai. And I bet that doesn't mean prime rib either. But actually it sounds very good. Noodles, there's a peanut butter sauce on it. It's a vegan, so there's no meat in it, but looks real good. And then I believe I have a blueberry cobbler, a dehydrated blueberry cobbler that I'm going to make for dessert later. So, and again, you just put 2.5 cups of boiling water in it, ziplock it shut, stir it up real good, ziplock it shut, leave it sit. This one's for 15 to 20 minutes, and then you eat it right out of the bag. The only thing you have to clean is your spoon. Works good. Starting to get dark. Well, obviously, Sunday in North Carolina, you can't hunt. So, I actually slept really good last night at 7:30. And opened up a little bit. Started the stove, gonna heat up some water, make some coffee, and sit here in the tent and just enjoy a cup of coffee and warm up with a little bit. It was not cold last night at all. And I don't know, it's maybe in the low 30s or something. Anyway, another good day, I'm sure. It's not supposed to be any rain at all today, and maybe even some sunshine. I'm going to tend to the water as it's starting to bubble just a little bit and make me a cup of coffee. I got me a fire started. I got this stay going again. I'll heat up another cup of water. Actually, that cup's very handy. It's the whole thing is just self-contained. It's very light. It has this little tiny aluminum handle that actually clips in right here to pick it up and off the pot. Drop a cup of a little creamer. I make these small, I have a vacuum sealer machine at home, and I make small little bags and vacuum seal coffee or whatever else I might want to keep watertight. They're very, very light. It's all burnable. I literally won't be carrying one piece of trash out with me this weekend. Lucky I found this real punky pine log. It's literally like a sponge. And at night I'll break a big chunk off of it before I go to bed, and I'll lay it across the fire, and it won't burn because it's so wet, but it will smolder. And in the morning when you wake up, you roll it over and you've got some coals on the very bottom side of it. And I haven't had to restart a fire since I got here and got the first fire started, so it works very well. And I got obviously enough to last me tonight and tomorrow night, so. Cloudy. I don't know that I'm going to see any sunshine today, but it's nice. It's, I don't know, mid to late 30s, somewhere in there, high 30s. I'm going to make some breakfast in a little bit. I think I'm just going to have some oatmeal this morning. And then I'm going to go pan for a while. I've changed my mind. It's such a quiet morning here, and I have such a pretty fire going. I thought I'd sit and relax and enjoy it for a while. Yesterday, Saturday, deer hunting season, you could occasionally hear traffic off in the distance. You'd hear some gunshots every once in a while off in the distance. But today, being as you can't hunt on a Sunday, I haven't heard a single thing. It's so quiet. So anyway, I thought I'd make a decent breakfast. This morning it's going to be hash browns, scrambled eggs mixed with pork sausage, peppers, and onions. It's made to fill and make like breakfast tacos, but I didn't bring any tortillas with me, so I'm just going to eat it out of the bag. But I'm going to have a nice breakfast, nice hot breakfast, and I'm going to sit here and enjoy this fire and then spread it out a little bit so I don't have to worry about it. And then I'm going to go hit the creek and do a little panning. Hike around a little bit and explore some areas that I haven't been to yet. If you're wondering what freeze-dried breakfast skillet with scrambled eggs, sausage, peppers, and onions looks like, this is it. Look at those big chunks of dehydrated scrambled eggs. Some of them do look kind of rough, but honestly, they're very, very good. The Oriental dish that I had last night was awesome, and the fettuccine Alfredo that I ate the night before, it was delicious. Honestly, I would make it at home. It was so good. Anyway, that's kind of what it looks like dried. But I promise you it's delicious when it's done. Amazing how light it is and how easy to prepare. Again, this one, pour a cup and a half of water in it. Ziploc. It's a Ziploc bag. Ziploc it, leave it sit for 10 minutes, and eat it right out of the bag. Bag burns. Again, no trash. I'm not sure how well this will work out, but I found a pretty good area, and just ran a couple pans. Basically, if you take the pan, bump it up something solid, usually I use my hand. Obviously I can't right now because I'm holding the camera. But think of a couple of 5-gallon buckets in the back of your pickup truck. If you slam on the brakes, they slam forward into the truck because they're heavy. So by bouncing the pan back and forth like this, the inertia of the gold will make it carry to the far left corner, right down in here, where that black, the heaviest sand is. And after you bang it just a little bit, then you kind of swirl that water around and try to peel that gold away, or peel the sand off the gold, if there's any gold in there. And there you're starting to see it. On the very corner. There's some more. very hard to make out. But there's a good bit of gold in there. Well, it poured almost all night last night. After I don't know, I guess it started about midnight, but anyway, everything's very, very wet. A lot more weight to pack out of here this morning than it was to bring in here all dry, but anyway, all's cleaned up. Like they say, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints. It was a great trip. Found a little bit of gold, didn't see any deer, but really had a good time. And as you can see, it's very, very wet. Enjoyed it all. What a blast. Can't wait to do it again. I don't have to worry about that fire. I'm really not sure what this is. It appears to be quartz. And it's etched or carved almost as if an ornament or a piece of jewelry or something. I really don't know. Maybe Indian? I'm not real sure. One of those little things that you find in your pan and become a guessing game. I really don't know what it is. It kind of looks like it maybe was, it appears to have been round. The sun maybe, with rays from the sun. I don't know. Interesting little piece though.